Welcome, welcome, welcome to my Pandemonium Savage 1 of the first circle. This fight was about a 10-minute fight, and it has mechanics that are relatively easy once you understand them, but in the learning process, it could be quite difficult, as some of the mechanics require all 8 party members to be alive and well in order for them to go. We're going to start through. We're going to go through each mechanic as they happen, and I will try to do my best to explain to you how they're properly done. So we're going to start off with a pull here, and then at the start of the pull, we're going to start off with a mechanic called Heavy Hand, which will show up a lot later on as well. And it is just a single tank buster. There's no debuffs or anything. There's no really need to swap or anything like that. After that, he's going to teleport to the center and start casting Ethereal Shackles. This is the first complex mechanic that is going to require a bit of understanding. So, what the understanding is 2 people are going to get a debuff. It is going to look like this purple debuff right here, or this red debuff right here. The red debuff means you're going to go to the outside, and then the purple debuff means you're going to go to the inside. Basically, the red debuff is going to target the furthest people from them and give them a large AoE, while the purple ones are going to target the closest and give them a much smaller AoE. What we did to do this, to remedy the situational adjustment we would need, we assigned people our spots. So, like how I immediately started going to A, and then if my partner Scarlet needed to adjust, he would go over to A. Like, say he got red and I got nothing, he would go to A and I would go to his spot. And then we just had people that would adjust like that. There was one way where you could do it based on your clock spots and just rotating intercardinal, and stuff like that. But we found just getting partners would make it a lot easier and a lot more trusting to understand. Oh, you see him moving outwards, go in. There also is going to be Warder's Wrath, which is just a room-wide AoE. It'll show up a lot during this fight. It does do a moderate amount of damage. Small amounts of shielding is recommended, especially since it's usually followed by much larger damage. There's the Ethereal Shackles gone off. As you can see, it spread out to them. After that, we are going to go into Galer's Flail. What's important here is to pay attention to which flail he puts down. So if he puts down this ball, it's going to be important to pay attention to not only what he puts down, but the order he puts it down, because that's going to be the order it happens in. For example, here he placed down the ball and chain, or the spiked ball, and then he placed this, it's a little hard to see, but he placed down this little hoop right here. If it's a ball, it's going to be an AoE inside him. You can stand at max melee. If it's a hoop, it's going to be a donut. And if it's a sickle, it's going to be like a cone, and the free spot is just the opposite side of it. So we will see more of the sickle later. The very first one is always going to be the ball and hoop. The order is random though. So we're going to stay out. He is going to start winding them up. He will do it, and then you need to get inside, and he's going to do the other one. And just like that, the mechanic is resolved. That will show up a lot more frequently later, intertwined with more. Now, Pitless Flail is a tank buster mechanic that is a 2-parter. So you're going to have Pitless Flail of Grace or Pitless Flail of Purgatory. Now, Purgatory is going to be a flare, and Grace will be a group stack. What this is going to do is we will go ahead and let this resolve. It's going to do a tank buster right here. It's going to push them back, and you cannot push back immune this. So there's no anti-knockback for it. You have to get pushed back. And then if you do not tank swap, it'll then follow with the flare or group stack. So what we did for our group, which this was all through Party Finder, so our group was really just a Party Finder group. they decided to tank swap. So during casting, they would tank swap. So White Fang, the main tank, would get the tank buster, tank swap momentarily. So Scarlet would take the Purgatory or Grace, and then White Fang would then get tank back just to keep the tanking there, because it is not actually a debuff that affects the auto attacks. That way we can just keep it more consistently, especially with placements of clocks and stuff. You don't need to do that. You can just do a normal tank swap, but this is how they wanted to do it to make it a little bit more easier on themselves. All right. Then we are going to, that's the Grace resolving right there. That's the stacking. Next, we're going to Galer's Flail, and here is the Sickle. Now, the Sickle is, there. He's going to drop 2 of them, and he's going to do a cone this way, so that means it's going to be a little pizza slice right here. The best part is just to stand like either like here or here, somewhere along there, and you'll be fine. And then he's going to do it on the other side as well. So you basically just go over here, let him do it, walk to the other side, and then it's the mechanic is then resolved. We're going to go ahead and show it off for you. Boom, walk through. Boom, done. Mechanic done for. Easy peasy. After that, we're going to go into a Warder's Wrath, which is going to be another AoE, and then we're going to into the next set of mechanic chains. The next set of mechanic chains is going to be called Temperance. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to it. He's going to cast Temperance, and it's going to cause these things right here. If you remember these from normal, if the blue one explodes, you get the blue. If the red one explodes, you get the red. You don't want to get the same one, or else you'll die. Now in Savage, it is a little different. You're not going to start out with one, so you're just going to start out with going to your clock positions. You're going to let them resolve. The cast for that is Interpret Torment. It takes a minute to cast. Now, what's one thing to really note here is there are certain patterns that will require adjustment later on. I will show you those patterns very soon. I'd rather not overload with information, but that is a good thing to note to keep outlook, because you're going to need to be noting if you're going to need to adjust as you see this. You'll be able to know instantly. That's going to resolve. You're then going to see I have the ice buff, so I'm going to need to go to the fire one, which, so the next set of colors, as you can see, is not a normal one. It is a new one to Savage. It is the purple. The purple means there's not going to be not really no element, but it's a void element, and it'll kill you because it is not the element you're looking for. So just in order to resolve this, you're just going to go to the north or south spots, and then that is going to there's going to be a Warder's Wrath there, so pay attention, because it can get tricky sometimes where you think the Warder's Wrath going off, you think that was the cube, so you go to adjust your position. I had done it a couple times. So just pay attention for Warder's Wrath, and then the cube will explode. The cube explodes. Now this is where the adjustment was coming from that I was talking about. Normally you would go back to your clock spots, but there is a pattern that requires adjustment, and that is, let me see if I can get a good angle of it here. Okay, here we go. See how this is ice, ice, fire. There are 2 patterns where this can be ice, ice, fire, or ice, ice, ice. If this is ice, 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 we do everything normal. If it is ice, ice, fire, the south will adjust by changing places with the northwest on the 3rd cube. So you'll go to your 2nd cube, Warder's Wrath will go off, the cube will then go off, and then you will do your go to your clocks or adjust as needed. And then that will go off, and then Warder's Wrath will go off, and then the cubes will go off once again, and then that is the mechanic done. Now, there are several things that need to be noted. If there is nobody in the cube If it's not the purple one, if nobody's in the cube, like if it's the normal fire or light element, if nobody's in that cube, it will explode, dealing heavy raid wide and applying a damage down. So if somebody dies during this, it could lead to a wipe. If someone dies a little bit before this and they're not got up in enough time, it will cause a wipe as well. Or it could. You can mitigate it. It has been mitigated, but it is such a large DPS that you have to really like quick react to be able to apply that amount of shielding that you would require. The next mechanic is going to be a Pitless Flail again. This time it's Purgatory, so he's going to get sent over there. Scarlet's going to run to the other side, and he's going to get hit with the Flare, like that. The next mechanic is going to be the next series of mechanics called Shining Cells. You remember this from the normal one. This is one where the floor changes. I'm going to skip ahead. All right, so he changes the arena, which is heavy damage. I would recommend doing a moderate, if not heavy amount of mitigation. And he's going to start casting Aether Flail. Now, Aether Flail is kind of like the normal. He is going to cast the element, and that whatever element he's casting is the element that's going to light up. Now, the new twist to it is he's going to be doing these flails as well. And unlike the Galer's Flail, this will be doing a hoop or ball and then a sickle. So for this example, it's going to be a hoop and a sickle, so we're going to want to get on this side of the safety, and we're going to want to stay inside his hitbox and stay off of the white. And then that will resolve that mechanic. Just like that. And then the other flail. And then each time he does the flail, the Aether will also happen as well. So as long as you just stay on that, you're fine. After that is another Pitless. And then after the Pitless, it will be another... It's going to be another Aether Flail. There it is. Another Aether Flail, which will be the exact same... Well, exact same type as the last time. I've noticed that it swaps from the normal, but it isn't always consistent with swapping. There has been a couple times where it didn't swap. So just pay attention to what happens. After that, we're going to have the mechanic Shackles of Time. This one places a debuff on a person. We're going to go ahead and see here. We got the Dragoon here with the debuff. What this debuff does is when it expires, whatever color they're standing on will ignite. So for the best case scenario, we do debuff on white, party on red. Basically, when the debuff expires, all of the whites will explode and all the reds will be fine. Yeah, I'll go ahead and let you see how that works out. See, we all get into a red. He starts casting Heavy Hand, which is a tank buster that doesn't require switching. And then, right as that goes off, then the shackle goes off, and you can see it disappears, but all of the white go off. And then Slam Shut is another heavy raid wide, and it's going to return us to the normal stage. All right, now that we're here in the normal stage, we're going to go into the next mechanic called Fourfold Shackle. Fourfold Shackle works just as Aether Chains, except it happens 4 times. All you have to do is the exact same thing as you did for Aether Chains, and then let it resolve. It's going to happen 4 times, but you do not need to move at all. So just let it resolve all 4 times, and then continue your fight. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one coming up. And just like that, the mechanic is resolved. You don't need to move. You don't need to do it. It can cause some downtime for some melees if they get the red chains, but there's nothing that can be circumvented about that right now. There might be an uptime strat later that fixes it, but for now, no. After that, we're going to have a little Warden's Wrath, and then the second Intemperance. Intemperance is going to work the exact same way. This time, we are not switching. Me and Scarlet are not switching. He has the triple ice. The only difference between this Intemperance and the last Intemperance is between the second and the third cube, he will be doing a Galer's Flail. See, he starts casting his Galer's Flail. I go south to do the second cube. The second cube is going to explode. And then he's going to resolve the Galer's Flail. He's going to do the outwards. I'm going to go out. He's going to do the inwards, and then the cube is going to explode. And just like that, it is now complete. One good note for the Temperance is you have to pay attention to if the top cube explodes first or the bottom cube explodes first, because that's going to determine the pattern. So make sure you pay attention to which cube explodes first. After that, we're going to get another Warden's Wrath. Just room-wide. And then after that, we're going into another Shining Cells, and this will be the final set of mechanics before Soften Rage and Harden Rage. Overall, this fight is very forgiving. There is a lot of time for Soften Rage, and then there's a lot of time for just this part. So we're going to get Shackles of Time first. He's going to apply the debuff. He's then going to do a Pitiless Flail. And then this Pitiless Flail is going to resolve at the same or close to the same time as the debuff. He's going to get sent back. He is also the one with the debuff. It doesn't always happen like that, but it happened this time. The flare is going to go off, and as the flare is going off, the shackles are going to activate. So you have to make sure that you are in the right time. The flare goes off, the shackles go off, and then that is the mechanic resolved. Next, we're going to get a Warden's Wrath, which is just another room wide. After that, we're going to get an Ethereal Shackle. Here we go. And you just got to pay attention to what element. It's going to work the exact same way as last time, or as the very first one. This time, you just got to watch out for what element he's in. And just adjust around your little marker as need be. After that, he's going to cast Ethereal Chain, or Aether Chain. And then the mechanic is resolved. After that, he's going to activate a Warden's Wrath. And then basically, this is the beginning of the Soften Rage. Soften Rage, I consider this Soften Rage because it's repeating the mechanics, and it's just taking forever to do so. Kind of like a Soften Rage would, but this technically isn't the true Soften Rage. The true Soften Rage is after. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to do Ethereal Chains 3 times, or Ethereal Flail, sorry. Ethereal Flail 3 times in a row. Just pay attention to what element, pay attention to what flails he drops, and then it'll resolve just like that. After that, he is going to do... Let's get over to it right here. He's going to do Warden's Wrath, and he's going to do Warden's Wrath 4 times before casting his Harden Rage. His Harden Rage is called like Lepe or something. I've only ever seen it once, so I don't actually remember the name. And after, if you don't clear by then, just clean up your DPS and you should be fine, because that's the last of the mechanics. And then the fight is over. As you can see right here, we cleared it as during the second Warden's Wrath, and we got duty complete. I hope this guide was helpful to you all. If you want to watch us prog these fights live, you can text me out at twitch.tv/monochrome. I will see you all next time in the next guide video for Pandemonium 2 Savage. Thank you. Bye-bye.